Dr. Cutter with the Chainsaw Hospital here. We're going to be working on the XL-101, nicknamed Kevin. And what we're going to be doing today is replacing the carburetor kit. So I'm having a hard time. It's not really tuning on the low jet very well, and it's a little weird, kind of. So I'm expecting some of the parts in there to be a little hard because it hadn't ran. And I asked Kevin, the guy I got this all from, who donated it to the channel. Thank you again, Kevin. He said it hadn't ran for about 23 years, somewhere in there. So what you guys saw the other day there with this thing running is phenomenal. I think it's great. So either way, let's get in here. We're going to take this carburetor off and go ahead and rebuild it and get it back together and get this thing going. I'm going to get this 5/16 head bolts that holds this little bracket on off first. There we go. I like to use a little plastic parts bin, and I'll throw everything down in there. That way I don't lose it, because I will lose it. Looks like we've got on this one here, got a little hairpin pin here holding that on. Pull that off, pop that out of there later. Let's see what's next here. Looks like we're going to need to get this fuel line off of here, and then these bolts out that hold all that on there. So let's go ahead and crack the tank so there's no pressure on there. We'll see if we can get this pulled off of here. Alright, got our fuel line off. That's good. Maybe we'll go ahead and take the side cover off so we can get to that fuel line back behind there. Alright, there you go. You can see the fuel line kind of hanging out right there. Okay, what's next? We're going to pop these off. They look like they're 5/16, and they are. I'm going to try this ratchet wrench out to see if that'll get things loosened up. It feels like it did. Okay, both bolts are out. Looks like this is loose. Just got to figure out a way to get these shafts off of here for the. Looks like if we slide that all the way over, that'll let us. There we go, just like that. Perfect. So if I didn't mention this before, this is an SDC 1 Walbro. Got our carburetor off, and need to open our surgical pack here for the tools we're going to need. Might not need all these, but I've got them available to do the work on the carburetor here, the surgery we're going to do. So it looks like we've got some. I'm just going to start on this side of the carburetor. This is the fuel pump side, and we're just going to take all 4 of these screws out right here. I like having a clean surface to work on, which is what we've got with this surgical mat here. So that's kind of nice. Alright, that's pretty clean. I like that. We've got the fuel pump. Yeah, you can see this is a little curled up right here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But it's not exactly closed off, so that definitely needs to be replaced. So we'll go ahead and pull. Okay, good. Both of them came off at the same time. Now you can see how dry this is. I haven't had this running for a while. I've been waiting on parts to come in for this. This screen, there should be a screen right here that's missing, so we'll make sure we put a screen back in there. And I think there might have been a little metal clip or something that holds the screen in, but we'll see when we get going with all that. So we'll set that to the side. So yeah, let's get our kit opened up and get all of our parts out that we're going to need. So yeah, it looks like our kit came with the screen, and I'm going to put links down below in the description there for you guys to see what all I've got going on here. And looks like we've got a new needle and seat, so that's nice. And intake gaskets, and things. This kit is a nice kit. This guy puts together a pretty nice setup. So if we match up the thickness of this gasket to, because it looks like we've got two of them the exact same style, just one of them's thicker than the other. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to say that's the thicker of the two. Well, no. I'm going to say that's the thinner of the two. So let's go with that. Yeah, because this has got the this rubber piece on there too. So let's peel that back and kind of see what we got. Well, I'm going to go with the thicker one because maybe this one got compressed. So, alright, we got that. So we'll need to put the screen in here since that's missing. That needs to be done. Does not look like this has a clip. If this had a clip, it looks like somebody was in this carburetor before me, which is fine. It's just, you just gotta watch what you're doing and not take for granted that everything is proper, because it's probably missing something, or something's not right with it, which I'm sure we're going to find something in here that's going to be a cause for concern. We just haven't found it yet. So I'm just pushing this screen down in here gently. Okay, got that screen down in there. That looks good. Gonna get our fuel pump back on here. So that was in this kind of orientation like that. And then we've got this gasket here that goes on there. Yeah, and if you can tell, hopefully you can tell, these are sealed off and much more pliable than the other ones. So that's it for this side. And we're just going to match up this round part with the round part and slide it right back on there. That's great. So then we've got screws to put in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these down to a reasonable amount, but we're not going crazy on that. Alright, so let's operate on the diaphragm side. Let's see what's behind door number 2. This is kind of exploratory surgery plus an actual repair, because I'm sure there's something wrong in here. I just don't know what it is yet, because something is wrong with this carburetor, and it's just not running right. I don't know if you guys heard it trying to idle down. It wasn't reacting to the low speed, the low jet adjustments. It wasn't, it was idling down really weird, and I don't know, it was just weird stuff going on with it. Alright, so here we go. Let's pull this off. Okay, I see a problem already. This gasket should be on the other side of the diaphragm. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a problem. All right. And then it looks like our metering lever is way high. That should be flush with these two little flat pieces right here. So the actual metering lever should be all the way down. So I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and put a new lever on there and adjust it properly. Everything else in here looks okay other than the gaskets being flip-flopped around the wrong way. And it looks like there might have been, no, there's only one of these gaskets. Okay, so yeah, so this is what we'll need to do. So what this will do, the proper way to do it would be like that, but we'll get to that in just a minute. So let's go ahead and pull this off. And it's not going to go flying everywhere, so we're just going to pull that out enough to get the little shaft out of there, just like that. So there's the spring attached, the rod, and the metering lever itself. Yeah, that's all bent up. Yeah, somebody's been in here. I don't know if it was a shop, probably, because Kevin, his dad, I don't think, this doesn't look bad right here. But we have new ones, so let's go ahead and use those. Alright, so we got all of our new parts here, and what we'll do is we'll start off with putting the new needle down into against the seat there, and all that's clean inside of there. I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. Looks good in there. I'm happy with that. Get that screw out of the way. So there goes the needle valve down in there, and we'll get the spring ready, and that's our old metering lever. So we've got our new one here, got our new shaft here, so we'll go ahead and slide that into there. And then this is the only kind of tricky part with all this, is hooking those little forks underneath of the needle valve and getting the shaft and the spring to all line up in one move. And it looks like, for once in my life on camera, it actually worked kind of the first time. There you go. I just had to tweak that spring over just a little bit to make it line up right. So I'm going to quickly get this screw placed into here with the that holds the shaft in place. So there we go. Alright, yeah, and you can see this new lever is way high also, but this SDC carburetor, that's how they work, is having that metering lever low. So that could have been some of my issues. So to adjust that, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold this still with a screwdriver, and we're going to push down on this a little bit, and it doesn't look like we got any movement at all. So let's try to do that again. Okay, looks like we got a little bit there. I'm just kind of playing. You can see how the needle goes up and down right there. So it looks like, again, this needs to be flush with the top. And I have the little tool, but we don't need to use it since it's going to be flush. We can kind of use our screwdriver here to see how it's moving. It just needs to not move when we do that. So let's tweak it a little bit more. And I'm not going crazy on it. I'm just barely pushing on it a little bit. So there you go. You can see it's barely moving, just a little bit when I do that. So let's do it just a little bit more. So I'm going to hold down on the needle there, and again, not hard, just, and it looks like it's barely touching that. I don't know if you guys can see that. Of course you can, you're right in the camera. So there that is, and we might even just tweak it out just a little bit. I'm good with that. That's perfect. Okay. All right. Great. So next up, we've got to put the new diaphragm on and the new gasket on. And remember, these were backwards before. They need to be like this. So we're going to put the gasket on there just like that. And then we've got to hook this little part right here, this little open part, onto the fork part. So I'm going to attempt to show that on camera. There we go. Just like that. And that's in there. So we should be able to push down on the middle there and feel it kind of move a little bit, and it does. All right, so we'll get our cover on. Make sure that's still hooked on there since it moved a little bit, and it is. All you gotta do is kind of pick up on the diaphragm a little bit, and it should move. Looks like I had this gasket flipped over the wrong way because that alignment pin needs to go into the gasket there. So I had that backwards. So let's clip this in again. Now this cover should go on a lot easier. There we go. So I'm just going to go around and put all these screws in. And next up is the accelerator pump. Just tightening these up to you know, just tight enough. It doesn't need to be crazy tight or anything like that. So the accelerator pump is located on this side of the carburetor with the adjustment needles. And I'm having a feeling something's wrong with that because something's not running right. So we're going to need to take off the C-clip here to remove the throttle shaft, to get that out of the way, and also remove this screw and the actual throttle plate out of there. So let's go ahead and do that while we're in here. I'm definitely going to put some Loctite back on that when I go to put that back in. So I'm just going to actuate the throttle a little bit. So now we need to pull out this C-clip. Get that out of the way, and now the throttle shaft can come out because you have to remove that to get this cover off. Alright, so let's get the cover off. Anxious to see what's in here because I'm having a feeling it's ripped or something, because it's just something's not right. But we're going to get it back together. We're going to fix her. We'll bring her back to life. Alright, so there we go. Got that pulled apart. So there's your accelerator pump diaphragm. Actually, that feels pretty good. Let's see, that comes right off. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing something wrong here. This is moving. This is pliable. I'm good with that. But there's no spring in here. The accelerator pump should have a spring behind the diaphragm. I'm not sure why that's missing. If you know why somebody took that out, let me know. This is a Homelite part number 64240. Alright, got our spring in place, and next up we need to get our cover back on. Alright, we got that in. Next up, we need to get our throttle shaft back in place and figure out where the spring goes. So that little spring part just hooks right in there. So when you're putting the shaft in, have this U-shaped part at the bottom, because it hooks around the top right here, and then rotate it around until this part hits the cover of the accelerator pump. Alright, so let's go ahead and put our clip back in place, and then we'll work on getting the throttle plate back in. Alright, that looks about right, right? Beautiful. And then we've got a throttle plate. Got a little Loctite on here. We don't need much, just a little dribble. And that's plenty. So I got this tightened down, a little bit of Loctite. Everything's functioning. And the throttle screw, the low air adjustment screw on the case, is it moves this open and closed by that. So this doesn't have one built into here. So we have our carburetor rebuilt. So what I'm going to do now is just set these jets at 1.5 turns out from close. So that's closed. So there's a half, there's a 1, and there's a half, which they were about at already. Let's do this one closed all the way, and we're going to back it out a half, a 1, and a half. That's a good place to start. Close enough. And yeah, so let's get this back in Kevin, the XL-101, and see if we can get something going.